So identity in the younger ones, I believe, has never been discovered in most. It's been lost in others.
Whatever is happening, I like to see how is it affecting our identity? How is it affecting our sense of self? So with that perspective in mind, how would you say digital addiction affects one's identity?
I can illustrate this through some brain animations of how people never discover who they are or what their passions are, what their giftings are, what their true nature is. These are all things of identity. This is what makes this is the essence of Dimitri. This is the essence of Brad. This is what makes us who we are. I designed some brain animations based on the work of Dr. Archibald Hart. And that word anhedonia is a description of the brain shutting down. It's when you become numb. Children say, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. And yet they have video games. They have all this stimulation. But to answer your question about identity, I want to show you how addiction works and how people lose their identity. And then most children are addicted from the time they're born because they're babysat with screens. And
Right.
so they're addicted almost out of the womb. And here's how it happens. That little dot there is called the nucleus accumbens of the brain, or the pleasure center. That's where I'm actually enjoying my conversation with you, Dimitri. And when we spoke earlier today and yesterday, and I was stirring the pot with you and joking and carrying on, I love that. And that is the area of the brain that received these hits of dopamine in small quantities that's harmless. And it's lighting up there because on a brain scan, you can actually see it light up. The brain's being
Right.
stimulated and you enjoy it. But when you get too much dopamine, you see a little wall forming there. That's the brain getting used to it. It's building up tolerance, building up resistance. And so the dopamine goes in there, and you have to end up doing that activity more and more and more to saturate that wall so that it spills over and you keep getting your little hits of feeling, which is, that little animation there of lighting up. Over time, though, as your head has to stay down longer, like that mother that I showed you, you have to do it more and more and more. You start to lose feeling because you now have to chase that and chase it and chase it and chase it and chase it. And so any activity that's not producing enough dopamine to get over that level of the wall over time, you start to neglect it. To answer your question, that's where your identity comes in. You will not self discover, you will not have any interaction with your inner being to develop your passion, to develop the giftings that are in us, and whatever it is that we're good at that we will end up doing and making a career of, a ministry of, things to help people, the thing that makes us us. When that wall is there, your attention and your focus is outside of yourself, trying to keep medication coming. And so what we're seeing are children who have no idea who they are. They've never given a thought to what their passions are. They're chasing, 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 chasing. And what has happened in the older folks who have pre-internet brains, I believe what has obviously happened, they have lost their identity. They once had it, but now addiction has set in. And now their identity is wrapped up living vicariously through DC and Marvel and Netflix characters, et cetera, et cetera. Entertainment in and of itself, in small quantities, is needed. We need to entertain ourselves. We need to be entertained. But the problem is it's gone into levels of addiction where it's not healthy. And it's sad because there are things that God has put into people, like you, I would like to think myself, that are not being discovered at all when they could really help humanity, when they could really make a difference in their country, they could really make a difference in their community, but they never will because they're living on the other side of that wall, and they have to because they have to chase the medication. To where if we can get that wall down, and you can, then you can have self-reflection. You can read books that amplify what it is you're passionate about, and then you can learn and you can grow those passions in you. The only way that you're going to find out really the full potential of what you have is to get that wall down and do some deep thinking and some deep dives and a lot of long form reading and a lot of quiet time, a lot of distraction free living. And people are afraid of that. People don't like to face themselves. They don't like to face what they've done or what they've been in.
Yeah.
But the healing comes in those areas, and the developing of identity happens in those places.
I understand what you're saying from the neurological, physiological side of how digital addiction keeps one from discovering their identity, from discovering their inbuilt, hardwired, created purposes,
Right.
the way they're shaped and what they're shaped for. And I'm a big fan of helping anyone to discover that.